the rise and fall of Northern Rock. Once a star of British banking, now a stretcher case.
I don't know if another bank has fallen here somewhere.
Unemployment in Britain has jumped to its highest level since 1994, with young people hit hardest. Public sector jobs are being slashed and private companies are not hiring in a stagnant economy.
The value of your home takes another tumble, but mortgage rates continue to rise.
The British government faces further embarrassment today. The National Audit Office published a report that sheds fresh light on the chaos of the banking crisis that unfolded last year. The report reveals that the price tag for bailing out UK banks has hit £850 billion, but Britain's spending watchdog says the final cost to taxpayers will not be known for years.
Europe's largest bank, HSBC, enjoyed better than expected underlying first quarter profit, the equivalent of €5.2 billion.
Protesters occupying a square in London's financial district are now into their third day of demonstrations against what they see as corporate greed. They set up camp outside St Paul's Cathedral after being moved away from the London Stock Exchange. Synchronised demonstrations took place around the world, from East Asia to Europe and North America. The vast majority of protests passed peacefully.
Well, police in London have also been accused of excessive force in their efforts to clear out Occupy demonstrators.
Britain's economy has contracted again, taking it into its second recession since the financial crisis. Gross domestic product fell 0.2% in the first quarter of this year, following on from a 0.3% decline at the end of 2011.
Hello, Mr. Morgan. You'll be seeing Mr. Murtaugh today. He'll be right with you.
M&M.
What?
M&M. Morgan and Murtaugh.
Okay, please take a seat. Oh, hello, Catherine. How are you? How's the family? Fantastic. Arabella's just turned 17. Oh my goodness, I can't believe it. And who's mad? Simon, Jessie's here.
Oh, Catherine, wonderful to see you. Mwah. Mwah.
How's the family, Simon?
Fantastic, thanks. Please take a seat.
Thank you.
Good morning, Mr. Morton. Morgan. Yes, Morgan, of course. So, what can I do for you today?
Well, I need a loan.
For how much?
£13,000.
What for?
I need to buy a new car.
Is the Mercedes not working out for you?
No, it's fine. It's actually Arabella's first car.
Arabella's 17 already.
Yes, I know.
Doesn't time fly? Just 13,000?
Well, I don't want to spoil her too much.
No, of course not. And what will you be using this van for?
Oh, well, I'm a plumber, so it'll be my work van.
Well, what are you using at the moment then?
Well, that's the problem. I broke down, missed a job and everything. So I want to get a new one this time, but I need a reliable one, so.
And how are you paying for this previous van? Another loan, I presume?
No, actually, I bought it outright with my life savings.
Not the wisest investment, it seems. Well, it's just a few formalities, you know, cross the T's, dot the I's, that sort of thing.
Of course.
Remind me of your annual income.
About 150,000 a year.
Right. And any excess liabilities, mortgages, debts, that sort of thing?
About 4,000 a month.
So that's around 50,000. I assume then for such a small loan that you want a 2 or 3 year repayment plan?
Well, Simon, I know this may sound silly, but Sylvia did say 5 is my lucky number this year. So could we make it a 5 year, please?
Sylvia?
My psychic, Simon, you know that.
Right. Are you sure? I mean, you stand to pay a lot less back if you go for a shorter repayment plan.
Please, Simon, I don't like to upset Sylvia.
No, of course not. Well, I'll just go run these numbers and just bear with me 1 minute. Right. Well, before we can go through with this, I just have to ask you a couple of questions about your personal finances. So, Mr. Morton.
Morgan?
Yes, sorry, Morgan. Your annual income?
30,000?
Sorry, 30,000.
Yes, around 30,000.
Huh? And your wife or partner, if you have one?
Oh, she doesn't work. She's been ill, I'm afraid. Plus, we've got 2 kids, so the childcare costs would make it pointless.
Put down unemployed. And any other liabilities, any other loans we need to know about?
Oh, actually, yes, I'm paying back student loans, so that's £200 a month.
£200 a month. And the mortgage?
I rent.
Of course you do. And how much is your rent?
£750 a month.
And have you a credit card?
One, yes.
And what's the balance on your one credit card?
£500.
Right, Mr. Morton.
Morgan?
Yes. I'll be honest with you. We may be able to offer you a loan, again, until I've crunched the numbers. I'm not quite sure, but I need to be upfront with you and say that a loan of this size for a person with your profile is going to cause an extreme strain on your budget. Are you sure you're up for taking on such financial responsibility?
I don't really have a choice.
Very good. Well, I will be back in a moment. I'm going to run these numbers and get back to you momentarily. Go. If you'd just like to sign where I've marked, and we can get you sorted. Right, Mr. Marlin.
Morgan?
Yes, of course. Your loan is for £13,000, yes? And what we've got for you at 5% interest over 5 years is at £245 a month at a total repayment of £14,700. Now that can. Yes. I'm afraid there has been a mistake. Sorry to leave you again. I'll be. Shit.
You cannot be serious, Simon.
I'm sorry.
Do you really expect me to pay 15% interest?
What?
You should have looked at them before you put them in front of me. Do you know how long I've been a local
No.
customer?
No.
at this bank?
I'm sorry. There seems
offended.
to have been a mistake. Just give me 2 moments while I clear this up. Do you have Catherine's paperwork? Did you get Catherine again? Yes. Why do I always get the crap customers? I'm in there with a plumber. No. Just yeah. I hope you find this more to your liking. £13,000 loan at a 5% interest rate over 5 years, paying £245 a month for a total repayment of £14,700.
Well, yes, that makes a lot more sense. Thank you, Simon. What on earth happened there?
It would appear that you mixed up your paperwork by mistake. You weren't actually supposed to see that. That was for a customer in another booth a few down. I'm afraid his financial standing isn't as good as yours.
Oh dear, the poor fellow.
Yes, poor being the operative word.
Oh, Simon, you're just terrible.
I know, I'm sorry.
So, I just sign here.
Yes. I'm terribly sorry about that, customer. Here, I have your figures here. £13,000 at 15% interest over 5 years is a payment of £309 per month and a total repayment of around £18,600. Sorry? It's a £13,000.
No, sorry, what was the total? Sorry.
£18,600.
5 minutes ago you came in here and read me details that came to less than 15,000.
Yes, I did, and I apologise. That was my miscalculation. I I forgot to amortise the rate of principal against the
What?
inflation and...
Are you making stuff up?
Mr. Morgan, I would never do
Right,
so.
listen, just tell me what happened in plain English. How about that?
All right. I'll be frank. That loan sheet that you saw, you really weren't supposed to see that. That actually belonged to a woman in the next office who just happened to be applying for the same principal amount.
Why is her repayment so much lower than mine?
With all due respect, Mr. Morgan, she is a woman of far greater resources than yourself and a far, far higher credit rating.
Credit rating? But I don't understand. I pay all my bills on time.
Again, no disrespect intended, Mr. Morgan, but that can't possibly be true. I've been working for this bank for a very long time and I've never known the computers to make a miscalculation when it comes to credit ratings.
Okay, maybe they weren't all completely on time, but I do pay my bills. I'm a good person.
I have no doubt of that, Mr. Morgan, but unfortunately, to the bank's loan officer, you're simply a number, and in your case, the number is your extremely low credit rating.
I really thought the business was starting to take off. And now I'm finding out I'm going to have to pay £4,000 more than someone in the next room just because they're rich and I'm not? Do you think that's fair, Mr. Murda?
I am not in a place to say whether it's fair or not, Mr. Morgan. What I can tell you is if we didn't operate this way, we wouldn't be able to offer you any money at all.
Why not?
It's about risk, Mr. Morgan. The woman in the next room, she will pay her lump sum back. We know that for a fact. We have her bank records, we have her bank statements, we have the record of her previous payments on previous loans she has taken out with us. She will pay us back. Yes, we're only going to make a 5% profit on her loan. In fact, it's only slightly more than we would actually pay to borrow money for her, but it's guaranteed money. And that's the difference. People with your profile, in your situation, and while I have no doubt, Mr. Morgan, that you will pay back this sum, there are people in your position who invariably will fail to pay. And so in order to ensure ourselves against loss, against high-risk customers such as yourself, we have to charge you a higher rate of interest to make sure we make a profit.
Why don't you just charge the rich a bit more money to cover the losses? They can afford it.
Because if we did that, Mr. Morgan, surely the smarter banks on the high street would swoop in and take on our wealthier customers, leaving us again with, no disrespect intended, high-risk customers like yourself. And like so many of the other banks you've probably seen on the television, we're going to go belly up if we do that. Now, I really do sympathise with your frustration, but I have other customers. Are you going to sign off on this loan or not?
I don't really have a choice, do I?
Fantastic. Thank you very much, Mr. Morgan. I wish you the best of luck with your business and with your van.
You know, it's like there's two different kinds of people in the world, rich and poor. And the day is going to come where the poor aren't okay with being treated like this anymore.
The American investment bank Lehman Brothers has filed for bankruptcy in New York. That's happened in the last few minutes. It means the Wall Street institution, which has been in business for 150 years and survived the Great Depression, is now the most high-profile casualty of the credit crunch.
Barclays that began the steep decline, and in the following 40 minutes of trading, shares in the country's biggest banks were sold down and down again. The market giving its own interpretation of the out-of-hours crisis meeting between banking bosses and the Chancellor. RBS lost 40% of its value before creeping back up again slightly. But no one, it seems, is banking on the banks.
At the start of this year, the UK economy shrank at its fastest rate for more than 50 years.
Some people say to me, it was the banks. I say, hang on. The banks had to lend to someone. People feel in a sense that someone else is responsible for the decisions they made. Of course, if banks don't offer credit, people can't take it. But there were two consenting adults in all these transactions, and they had both made wrong decisions. People are unwilling to accept responsibility for the consequences of their actions.
My wife was made redundant from her job at RBS and was given 1,000 shares as part of her redundancy package, which at the time were worth around £20 a share. Now they're worthless and wiped out any safety net. I was a senior manager at a local council when I was made redundant in 2010. I was earning more than 70 grand a year. But now, I'm being offered jobs at the bottom, being paid 16 grand, and my job seeker's allowance is about to run out. If we're still in the same situation at the end of this year, I will have to sell the house. But the market is so depressed, it'll be such a struggle to sell it. If we make it through this Christmas in the same situation, I'll probably be back living with my mum. I've managed to keep myself busy, but sometimes I just wonder, what if? I won't be beaten. I still have a lot to offer.
I don't actually think it was the banks who got us into this mess. I think it was the fat, lazy people who won't go out and get jobs. The fat, lazy people who won't work and are living off the benefits and the state. I think we should start taxing fat people. I think poverty is an incentive.
I went on the dole after graduation. What did I get from uni? A degree in politics and international relations and 35 grand in debt. I was told to go to uni because I'd get an amazing job and I'd earn lots of money. Whereas I've gone to uni, I don't have a job and I owe loads of money. Maybe I should have just left school at 16 and got an apprenticeship. I apply for jobs every week. Retail, sales, secretarial, you name it. But you need experience to get a job, and the thing is, they're not offering experience, so you can't get a job. My job advisor says maybe I should just dumb down my CV and not even put uni on the list, just so I can get a job.
You can see a police car being attacked. Youths are gathering around it. We thought we were in a safe position, surrounded by hundreds of people who were just basically sightseers. And then suddenly this has happened. There are no riot police officers around at the moment. They are further down the road.
Nearly 50 people have been arrested after a night of rioting in North London. Petrol bombs were thrown, vehicles and buildings set on fire, and shops were looted. As local people survey the damage, community and political leaders have condemned the destruction.
Police struggle to contain the violence after a third night of riots. They describe it as the worst in current memory. And the violence spreads to Birmingham, Bristol, Nottingham and Liverpool.
Questions are being asked over police tactics and their ability to protect shops and people.
Me and a couple of friends were on holiday when we first heard about it. A mate of mine back home texted me telling me what was going on. As soon as I heard about it, I thought, yeah, I gotta be there. I want to be there, smashing up cars, burning them just to see them burn. Because, the police, they've caused hell for me my whole life. I knew I had to be there. This would be the only opportunity I get for revenge. But it's not just the police, it's the government as well. They give us all these benefits and then just cut them down. You look at all these kids today trying to get into university, but then they're putting up the tuition fees. So these kids end up back on the street selling drugs. And then they ask themselves, where did we go wrong? When in actual fact, they're the reason we are the way we really are. They thought, we'll financially hurt them. So we thought, all right then, we'll financially hurt you. I saw the Mackies on fire. Properly on fire, So I threw a petrol bomb at it, just because I could. Those were the best 3 days of my life.
The problem
with society, especially this country that we live in today, right? You can't do nothing that's normal for it to happen, right? For it to change, you just can't. This is about the youth not having a future, not having the possibility of having a future. Most of these people are unemployed. Most of these people have their youth centre closed down for years. And they're basically seeing the normal things. The bankers getting away with what they're getting away with, making this country lose money how it does. Let's be honest about this. The police been paid money underhanded to get stories for newspapers. Nothing really happened to them. The government been done for what they've done, what they've been doing, their expenses. Some of them been doing it for years. Some of them going to prison. This is the youths actually saying to themselves, hang on a minute, these people get away with that, but why can't we tell people how we feel? Look at what you're seeing today. You're not just seeing it in one area, you're seeing it right across London. The government has a message, and they're not even talking about it. They're talking about these thugs. They're not even addressing the real problem that society has. These people have no hope, and this is their way of reacting, and I feel genuinely sorry for them. These people have a message for the government, and they're not even talking about it. This is a message for the Tory government now, and also the Labour Party even before them. The problem is it's been building up, and the government never really been in touch. This is what the youth of today had to do to get people to pay attention to them, that we are finished as a country. We really are.
David King. Your criminal behaviour cannot and will not be tolerated in a nation of laws. You were seen on CCTV entering and then leaving a shop. You may not actually have stolen anything, but your intent was perfectly clear, and your contrition does nothing to change the magnitude of your crime. You are hereby sentenced to 16 months in jail.
Adam Applegarth, former Northern Rock boss. By aggressively building up packaged mortgages, including loans of up to 125% of a home's value, you built Northern Rock into the 5th largest mortgage lender in the UK before its collapse in 2007. In the 5 years running up to the bank's disaster, you were paid around £10 million. During the 18 months immediately before, you cashed in shares worth £2.6 million. You were also having an affair with one of your subordinates. For your greed and disregard for common sense, you must accept a £760,000 payoff and no criminal or civil charges. Danielle Corns, you stood and watched as those around you broke into a shoe shop. You were seen in several shops on the day of the riots. You stole a pair of trainers from that shop, and though you returned them to the shop moments later, your actions, along with those of dozens of people we will never capture, cost the shop £30,000. For these grievous acts, you are hereby sentenced to 10 months in jail.
Dick Folt, you steered the once proud firm of Lehman Brothers deep into the business of subprime mortgages. You then took the loans and packaged them up into soon-to-be toxic bonds which you sold to investors. While you are now persona non grata on Wall Street, you may find comfort in your net worth of over $100 million. And though it appears you'll escape any criminal charges, you may find yourself confined to your estate in Greenwich, Connecticut, or perhaps your full-floor apartment on Park Avenue, or your ski lodge in Colorado, or your vacation house in Florida.
Perry Sutcliffe Keenan. On the night of the 9th of August 2011, you created a Facebook page entitled The Warrington Riots. Your evil act happened at a time when collective insanity gripped the nation. Your conduct was quite disgraceful, and the title of the message you posted on Facebook chills the blood. You sought to take advantage of crime elsewhere and transpose it to the peaceful streets of Northwich. The idea revolted many right-thinking members of society. No one actually turned up due to the prompt and efficient actions of policing using modern policing. You caused a very real panic and put considerable strain on the police resources in Warrington. For these terrible offences, you are hereby sentenced to 4 years in prison.
Bob Diamond. You were head of Barclays while engaged in the manipulation of the worldwide borrowing rate, known as LIBOR. This cost the public and individual borrowers millions, while enriching Barclays immeasurably. The actions taken were unquestionably illegal, even though you may have been acting in collaboration with individuals in the government. And though you were forced to resign, the difficulty of proving that you were directly involved likely means that you will escape any criminal penalties. However,
Don't think for a second that you get off scot-free. You were forced to forego up to £20 million in bonuses and incentives, and instead will be forced to accept only a year's salary of £1.4 million, plus pension and other benefits worth £2 million. Let that be a lesson to you.
We received a phone call from someone saying, "Look, check your shop. We think something's happened to your shop." So flying into panic, trying to contact the police, trying to find out whether it was true or not, hoping that it wasn't true, but knowing that it was true. So the next we found our shop wide open, ransacked, glass smashed and cupboards cleaned out. We were in shock, literally. It didn't look like our shop. We couldn't quite process that it had happened. So we stood. We literally wept in the streets. It's tragic. It's all tragic. I feel aggrieved. I feel traumatized. Who do I blame? I don't feel that the issues that caused the atmosphere in which this happened have really been resolved. At the same time, I don't know if I could sit down with a litter and explain to them what they've personally done to us. I felt let down by the police. I felt that they didn't protect us. All we have to do is look forward, day by day. It's challenging, but what else can we do? Get on with the work that we do have.